Hello and welcome. As you can see, today we're going to discuss a strategy which will lead you to scoring full marks in the VRC section of IPMAT Indore exam. See, everybody sits in the exam with the perspective of scoring full marks, but it's not that easy of a feat, right? But today I'm here, so don't worry. I'm going to help you negotiate and navigate between different sections so that you can perform to up to the best of your abilities and score the fullest, right? Before going any further, let's see. Basically, we're talking about IPMAT Indore exam, and in the IPMAT Indore exam, the VRC section contains 45 questions. Right, it contains 45 questions and it is pretty understandable that it has a high weightage in IPMAT Indore, and you'll be given around 40 minutes for this whole section, right? So in 40 minutes you have to complete your VRC section, not only go through each and every question but also mark them correctly in a manner that leads to the most number of score, right? So how to tackle that? VRC, all of us know that VRC is made up of your reading comprehension, your VA obviously, and then grammar and vocab. Right, this is exactly what your VRC is made up of, and we know that RC here, reading comprehension here, holds the greatest weightage. But before we go further, we should also have an idea that here VA is the most doable aspect. Why am I not mentioning the vocab and grammar? Because vocab is something which is unlimited. There's a high chance that there will come an unpredicted or unexpected question in vocab. So I will not tell you to stress over it, right? And the same thing with grammar is that you have to practice very, very, very thoroughly for grammar. And even if you get nervous or panic during exam, then you might fumble in the grammar section. But what we have in our hand is your VA section. And VA always remains doable, and if you are confident somewhat in your RC, then VA also becomes even more of a piece of cake. So let us tackle each section one by one and with that mindset only, right? First truth about VARC, which I just mentioned, let me repeat it once more. VARC is your logic and comprehension. Every single time I tell all of you that do not mark answer based on your instinct, but based on your logic. Always stick to the logic. As I told you, vocabulary is not the main factor. Why? Because it is something unlimited and you cannot control the uncontrollable. You can only control something that is in your control, right? Always there are 4 options and 3 traps are laid for you. There's just one precise answer, and there are never extreme options as the answer in VARC. Usually extreme options are wrong and we have to be mindful about them. First and foremost, let's talk about the reading comprehension strategy. As I told you, it is the backbone of your section. Focus on what exactly the author is trying to present before you, okay? Do not read it just for the sake of reading, but for the sake of understanding. You have to very much be mindful of these kind of words, however, but, although. Why? Because they shift the tone and they shift the argument as well. Then tone and conclusion identification. I always tell my students that whenever you are reading a passage, it is very, very important that you are clear on the tone and conclusion even beforehand, even before it is asked, right? And then ignore unnecessary details. What are the unnecessary details? These might be some facts, some examples, etc. You have to ignore these details if they are not relevant to the questions asked, right? Do not memorize facts. Obviously, just as I've just told you that you have to ignore the facts and examples, isn't it? Yes. Now, elimination. Yes, I keep on emphasizing on understanding. Yes, I keep on emphasizing on logic-based approach, but I cannot deny the importance of elimination. And wherever you go, wherever you see the top scorers, they have vouched for this technique. Elimination, You can easily learn elimination just by practicing. How? You have to notice your options. If they are too extreme, if they are adding some new information which is not present in your RC, right? If they are contradicting or misrepresenting your passage, or if they are very correct, they sound very correct, but some keywords or some answers or options are out of the scope of your passage, right? So you have to be very careful. Keep your ears and eyes open and see for those options, look out for those options, and immediately the answer will flash before your eyes. Now comes the verbal ability section. As I mentioned to you before, verbal ability is quicker to solve if you have practiced, and it is always the low hanging fruit, because there are many a times when simpler questions are presented in verbal ability as compared to your vocab and reading comprehension. Parajumble, if you are able to find the opening sentence, parajumble is a piece of cake. Vocabulary, you have to stick with the context, not the meaning. As I told you that you cannot learn the meaning of all the words in this world, but you can learn to read the context. Then grammar, always shorter and simpler sentences. The whole purpose of grammar in a language is to make it simpler. And if the sentence is simpler or shorter than the other options and the grammar is logical and correct, then that is your answer. So these are some thumb rules that you can employ to answer the questions in these sections. These questions take the least time because you just have to decide on the spot, unlike the RC where you have to go back and read and look for the answer. And finally, the full marks formula, which I say that I usually tell my students to make a round based approach. Like in the first round, mark your easiest questions first. If you think that VA is easier for you, if you think that grammar is easier for you, in your first round, always mark those easier questions. If you have to think slightly more or even bit multiple times you have to think, then put that question for the second round. Okay, in the first round, we are just marking the easy ones. Once you are done with your round 1, you have to move to your RC and then you have to solve it very carefully. In RC also, if you are presented with 3 or more passages, it is up to you. Now it is your call which passage should be on priority and which should be on the least priority, right? So before that means you have to be judge. You have to be able to judge what kind of passages suit you or in what kind of passages you can actually score. So that kind of awareness is necessary for you or on your part, right? Then obviously eliminate aggressively. With the questions where you have to think multiple times or you are stuck with some options, you should have had enough practice that you should know how to eliminate the options. Okay, in many of my classes and videos, I've demonstrated how to practice the elimination technique, and trust me, once you get a hold of it, eventually you'll be able to find answers really fast. Then prioritize accuracy over attempts. I cannot emphasize this more, that if your syllabus is complete and if a topic sounds like something that you do not know, mind you, my first condition is that your syllabus and your revision is proper, and if some question comes that you think that you cannot solve, please do not go all tukka-fied on that question, because if you are unable to solve it, then trust me, everyone is unable to solve it. So what you have to do is that leave that question as it is and focus on marking the ones you know extremely correctly. Okay, so always prioritize accuracy over attempts, because when you are going to sit for the exam, have faith on yourself that you have completed all your syllabus and all your topics. You have had thorough revision of topics, and if some topic is still out of your grasp, then it is not your fault. It is difficult for everyone, right? Lastly, in all my videos, as I say, that yes, your good English helps, but even more than that, your smart thinking helps. So you have to find your strengths and weaknesses. You have to find the strengths and weaknesses in the paper, and then you have to coordinate the two, and I'm sure you'll be able to score the best. Thank you. That will be all.